What's up, everyone? It's Friday. It's 5 o'clock. You're listening to the Weekly Hookup here on Radio Artifact. Maybe you downloaded it as a podcast because it is available through all of your podcast channels. You can get us on 91.7 FM HD2 WVXU here in Cincinnati. As always, the views, thoughts, feelings, things expressed by the show are not necessarily shared by our parent companies. But that said, with me as always is James. What's up, James?
What's going on, Mark? Great to be back for another week here at Studio Cincy.
That's right. Another quick shout out to the fine folks of Studio Cincy, a wonderful hub for creatives in the Cincinnati area, and also provider of this Diet Coke.
I hope you were all refreshed with that sound right there. It filled me up in a way that most things don't fill me up.
Yeah, it's kind of actually a weird thing I think about every so often where I'm like, I know audio and other sensations can trigger feelings, but there is something really satisfying about the sound of a can cracking open where you're like, beverage time. I'm about to not feel thirsty.
Why do you think they have the cork pouring? Ooh, the cork pouring, the Coke pouring. I mean, you can pour a cork in the theaters at 105 decibels. That's so you both piss your pants and go for another drink.
And I always feel like they miss the opportunity to just pour the Coke into the bucket of popcorn because they want you to buy both. I'm like, go ahead and sell me both then. I'm
going to eat both at the same time. I'm going to wash down your chunky corn with my refreshing beverage at 105 decibels. Just give it to me at the same time.
That's right. Salt both of them simultaneously. Like that. Speaking of Coke products, we did see a weird thing at the gas station today. Since our show now is just about gas station reviews.
I'm into it.
We saw, Coke is now it's really weird because I think, have I talked before on the show about how speedways all over are like the Mos Eisley spaceport of gas stations? You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy than a speedway. And so I find it weird that Coke has been putting their stuff there, not in a nicer gas station. But today we saw, I guess it's like an instant chiller. To me, it was an anti-griddle, but for a bottle of Coke. So you take a bottle at 20 ounce or whatever size you're trying to buy. I can't believe I'm giving Coke all this free advertisement. You guys are the worst.
Just change
Down
it.
with Coke.
We'll call it Cake.
Yeah, exactly.
From here on out, Diet Cake.
But then the band is going to get the credit, and they're going to be like, I just wanted a short skirt and a long jacket. But no,
in this weather.
Yeah, you take the Coke beverage, and you set it, and I guess you could just take any beverage. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start putting Pepsis in there. But you take the beverage, and you put it on the stand and push the little snowflake button so that, because they're trying to own the libs. And
Shapiro, the American hero.
And I guess it instantly chills the beverage. And so part of my confusion about them putting it in a low-class gas station establishment like Speedway versus one of the higher-end ones is that the entire Coke fridge right next to it was just 30 bottles of frozen Coke. A bunch of them had burst because clearly the customers of Speedway have been so respectful and just constantly refreezing. But yeah, I know customers, too nice of a word.
Are you saying that all Speedway customers wear ankle bracelets?
Not all not my Speedway customers.
Can we say that? We're going to say it.
The South Speedway is the one that you're always claiming will rise again. So
we've taken a lot of work trips over the past few years, and all it's done is spoil me to gas stations and shown me that here in the tri-state area, we have literally the worst gas stations I've ever seen.
The worst selection.
Literally the worst.
I always thought I was the weirdo when I would talk about driving back up east and being like, oh yeah, we got Sheetz and all the the classic 7-Eleven years ago, because where I guess 7-Eleven is probably always kind of awful, but it definitely feels like this weird thing where it's way more awful these days. But yeah, I always felt like a weirdo feeling like the gas stations here are nowhere, which is, how do you even review convenience stores, right? They sell the same stuff, but there's just a certain level of grime you're willing to deal with. But yeah, especially on our work road trips, we've gotten to explore more west recently, with our trips to Texas and what have you. And, I got to give a huge shout out to the fine folks of QuikTrip.
QuikTrip. QT.
QT, baby.
You see those two consonants? I'm telling you, consonants. I'll buy both of them right now. Spin the wheel. QT had one of the greatest fountain beverage and icy and even coffee selection. I mean, it was like walking into an I don't use the word emporium lightly. That's a heavy word right there. There's a lot of consonants.
It's a convenience emporium. I was so pleased with that because they had all the weird freezy slushy things. And they, in addition to that, they let me move this real fast. Sorry, I just noticed that we were pulling cables. But no, in addition to, like you said, all the freezy things, they had the you mentioned the coffee, but what even blew me away more, there was a tea bar.
Yes.
I'm like, what this isn't even an American thing. I don't know if the only people I know that drink tea besides me are other weirdos that think they're better than everybody.
And let's give it out to the breakfast bar at Wawa.
Oh.
Wawa was sitting there putting McDonald's breakfast to shame, giving me, you can sit there and imagine the giant customizable screen that you have, your 22-inch flat screen Wawa television.
Provided by Sanyo or
some other brand with a no. And you can sit there and customize all the food you want. The nice people behind the glass counter will make it for you. Unlike the people behind the glass counter at Subway, which will just ruin your life and have sex with your wife. It rhymes, so it's true.
It's true. That's actually, if we learned anything from the O.J. Simpson trial, rhymes matter.
That's how we got off.
All rhymes matter. How did we get onto the topic of gas stations?
Well, you cracked open your delicious diet cake beverage.
If you could all just rewind the show about Thanks to the new NES Rewind feature that Nintendo announced today. Before I dive into our usual complaining about not complaining, we just usually have feelings about the world of gaming. I had this weird thought the other day.
Go for it.
And I have weird thoughts like this a lot, where you ever know, there's like trends in life, right? And I'll liken it to like when you think you found a new band before they blew up, and you're like, wow, it's so crazy. I like found out about this band, and then 2 months later they popped off. And I had this thought the other day about that, where I was like, oh, that's like a weirdly immature and almost stupid thing for me to feel, right? Because it was clearly the marketing machine pushing them on a product that was going, if it was likable, was going to break because of the money behind it, right? But so these are like the types of things. It's like r/shower thoughts. And then the other day I was watching, I showed Lindsay an early David Fincher movie called The Game, starring Michael Douglas. It's a great movie. It recently got like remade with Jason Bateman, and they called it Game Night. And it's serious. I kept hearing it was like a Fincher spoof, and I watched it. It was fine. It was like funny and cute, whatever. But it is almost exactly the entire plot of The Game. But where I'm going with this is that I noticed there was an actress in the movie. I'm pretty sure her name was Deborah Kara Unger. She did some work in the 90s. But I started having this feeling about there were trends of looks in movie, and not just movies, but like in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely.
And I had this weird feeling where I was like, what was about like 92 to 98 that all of these like, and I don't mean this disparagingly, but I'm just trying to describe it in a way that is very easy to the audience. It was kind of like they started bringing around all of these like bird-like women in Hollywood. And I'm not trying to make this like an issue, but like if you think about a bunch of the people that got popular, they had like sharp facial features, strong facial features, right? Like angular, high cheekbones. They looked lightweight. I'm thinking about people like the aforementioned Deborah Kara Unger. I'm thinking about Ellen DeGeneres kind of fits. And then even at the time, Ellen's former wife, Anne Hesh. And there were all these actresses that kind of just started popping up, and they all had kind of the same look where they were like statuesque and very unique looking, but also, I don't mean bird-like in a negative way. I'm just trying to paint an image here, right? Like, I'm marrying a bird person, so I understand. I'm into it. But I find that so odd, and like, what is it about those trends? I've just been trying to wrap my head around this all week, and now I'm trying to figure out what the next trend is. I feel like lately it's been, you know, you get your like momoas, whatevers. So you have like implacably ethnic shirtless guys. Mm-hmm. That's a thing. So I'm really trying to work on that for my own career. But this is just my weekly shower thought. I thought maybe I'll just start doing an episode from the shower so we all know how I feel. But I just found that baffling. I'm trying to think of other good examples, but I thought those are all three pretty good ones.
I mean, I was watching a show the other day, and I think her name's Lisa Hearn. I thought it was just Halle Berry in the dark. I couldn't get, they had the same haircut and same face and everything.
That's
so, I mean,
hilarious.
There's definitely a look to a lot of Hollywood people. I was like, oh, that's Halle Berry. And then she stepped in the light, and I was like, oh, no, I probably shouldn't have said that. I feel bad now.
Like, does that make me racist? You're like, no, I don't think so.
No.
You're like, it was in the dark, man.
Yeah.
You know? I find that so interesting about entertainment in general, because I think now that I'm really talking about it out loud and not just sitting there to myself in the shower having a fake argument with someone I don't know, is...
You can admit that I was in the shower with you. It's fine. You know me.
It's fine. I usually argue with you all the time because you never hand me the damn shampoo, and it's always the conditioner. I'm like, James, there's no time for this.
They both
I
clean.
can only do one.
Don't you have that argument with me? They both clean.
No, I'm having it again. Another shower argument.
I had that argument just the other day. Anyways.
Why are we showering in the same building? We don't have to do everything together. But, no, I really lost my train of thought, actually, because of the shower thing.
Hollywood actors and actresses having a trend.
What I was saying is not just even in the visual sense, right? Like, think about it in music. I think a great example is, like, the 80s hair metal scene, where it was, like, Van Halen happened, and then shortly after that, they got, like, Motley Crue. And then after that, and I would argue that Motley Crue is a pale imitator, not imitator because they're not the same, but like to me,
pales in comparison.
For sure. Like Van Halen is definitely like they changed the landscape of rock and roll.
Like Kiss.
And most of these, oh gosh, I think I just had to pay Gene Simmons just for you saying that word. And Prince wants a cut because of his song. Here's Seal knocking at the door. Oh, what do you kiss for Rose? Get out of here, Seal. Nobody's
Go back to your aquarium.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow, it's so weird. It's crazy that you have a beautiful voice. But there are trends in that regard, too, right? Where, like, people would hire, they just were like, well, let's sign every band that's wearing spandex and kind of looks androgynous, right? And that never works out long term. I just find it so weird. And I
do love Transformers, though.
I'd argue that didn't work for the looks of these people because all of the people I mentioned, with the exception of Ellen, who stopped really being an actor and started being a personality instead, what are they up to?
Not a thing.
Right, because I feel like at a certain extent they probably got successfully picked up. You know, maybe I should have just started acting years earlier so I could have gotten swept up in the we need knockoff Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill rage. I'm like 50% there. I got the facial hair, I got the heritage.
They ran out of Catwoman movies, so Halle Berry got the pick of the draw. Sorry, Lisa Ern.
Yeah, sorry, Jonah Hill, you're no longer
Catwoman. I'd like to see him scurry up the walls and then have some kind of terrible ongoing rambling sentence.
I would just be like this. They'd be like, oh my gosh, you just scurried up the wall. And he'd be like, did I scurry up the wall? And they're like, yeah, you did. He's like, but did I scurry? Yeah, you did. Well, was I scurrying, though? And this would go on for like 45 seconds where he just says the same question over and over. I figured out 45 the Jonah Hill equation. Yeah, exactly. And that's the entire plot to 22 Jump Street. You know? I love those movies. All right, so that's my shower thought for now. A couple things I'd like to bring up.
Bring it.
We have a couple of really cool things going on right now. I want to talk about a few shows as I pull up the details so I don't mess this up. Because I will mess this up if I don't look at the right details. But we've got a couple cool things. So first off, I can talk about this without messing this up. But for ourselves, on the 27th of July, you and I are doing a live performance of the Weekly Hookup at the Redmore Theater, which is up in Mount Lookout, Ohio, which is part of Cincinnati. A beautiful theater. We've done some other events there. Sorry, I'm like about to hiccup, and I was like, please don't hiccup into the microphone, and that doesn't matter. But that's coming up on July 27th. We'll have more details on the Weekly Hookup page soon. There's an event. It's called the Weekly Hookup Live. You can find it really easily. You'll see a wonderful piece of artwork created by my fiancée, Lindsay Painter, of us on there selling the event.
Be careful which one you tag on Instagram.
That's right, because you might... I haven't brought this up on air, but yeah, you be careful which one you tag, because there's two of them, and weirdly, they're both artists. They're both, like, blonde women. They both married guys that were born in the same week, too. I don't know if I told you that. Her husband is born 2 days before me. Isn't that weird?
I think this is some kind of les enfants terribles scenario.
Yeah, exactly. The Patriots have risen. Or I honestly... I only really played like the first Metal Gear Solid.
How dare you?
I'm really blowing it.
Shonky Kong is quivering right now in GameCube graphics.
Speaking of Shonky Kong, our buddy Zach Schonkweiler will be part of the show.
Bringing some local comics on.
Actually, I think our guest next week, who is going to be here tonight, but I told him I would roast him, Blake Hammond, a great comedian. He performed at Sweaterfest for us. He performs at a lot of other great places. But where I keep seeing him pop up lately is one of his tweets about white people culture has been kind of going viral. I keep seeing it shared in groups. It's really funny. Whatever, you can find it. Just look up Blake Hammond. He's great. But he'll be on the show next Wednesday with us, but he'll also be, I think, coming on the 27th at the Redmore. So pretty much what we're trying to do, my pitch for this, or anybody that's like older like me, it's kind of similar to what, like, it's like a late show thing. But back in the 90s, one of my biggest inspirations, a guy by the name of David Letterman, used to do these primetime specials where it'd be kind of like a slightly more interactive version of his usual show. And then you'd have more guests and more things. So what I want to do is I want to bring out a bunch of local talent. We're bringing on my buddy Mike McEwen, who's a photographer and artist here in town. He has a page, for lack of a better term, called American Confines. It's a project. His first project was all about a book on Cincinnati, where he covered all of... I've talked about this a billion times. You can get the information on the page. Mike's great. Schonkweiler's great. Blake Hammond's great. We've got musical guests. St. Mary St. Michael, who's an awesome... kind of folky, and I'm not usually a folk guy, so I hesitate to call it that, but let's call it like alternative folk But really great musicians. People were very happy with them at Sweaterfest. And Tyler, and I don't know the rest of the team very well, but Tyler's the main songwriter and frontman. And Tyler's just a great person, really easy to work with. And that show's going to be awesome. We'll be announcing tickets. I'll do a couple giveaways on air the week of the show. But on the more important end, we've got some more Bogarts things coming up. So coming up here in a couple weeks, I believe it is the 22nd. I'm still looking for the official dates, but I want to start giving away tickets to these now. And as you may know, not really a jam band guy normally, right? Like, that's never been a scene. I love virtuoso musicians, especially guitarists, but for whatever reason, the jam band scene kind of evaded me.
Except the meatball scenario.
The meatball situation.
Oh, sorry.
It's close, though. But coming up at Bogarts in a couple weeks, as always, huge thanks to Bogarts and Live Nation for supporting the show so much and doing all these giveaways with us. But there's a documentary coming out on Trey Anastasio, who's the guitarist and frontman / singer for Fish. Now, I know some of you might roll your eyes at hearing that, but it's actually been getting like really great reviews as far as this goes. So Bogarts is doing a screening of this, and they do a lot of movie screenings and other cool things like this. And I want to send all of you to go. Seriously, I'm actually going to be in attendance. Like, we can hang out if you want. I don't know if that's even appealing to any of you listening. It should be. I'm a great time.
I just had a huge realization.
Yeah?
I think my 7th grade science teacher came to class ripped every single day because he kept telling me, he's like, you'll like Pink Floyd, then you'll like Fish, then you'll like Grateful Dead. And I was like, shut up, Justin Kaiser. I'm going to break your leg one day. And then 3 years later in flag football, I broke his leg. So I held true to my promise, but not to his. I didn't like Fish.
If that's true, then he was definitely prepared to, handle the problems of the break. I think he may have had a pain reliever or two. That's coming up. I believe it's the 22nd of July. I will confirm the dates. I'll post about it on our Facebook page the day of the show. I want to give you tickets to this. It's gonna be great. This sounds silly because Bogarts is typically a music venue, but I kind of love watching movies there because they've done a lot of cool things in the last few years where they've put some CD. They have available seating now downstairs. They put some like handicap seating in VIP areas. It's it's funny because every so often you'll see like some idiot in a post be like, "This place sucks." But they haven't been there since like 1997.
Their name is Jim. Yeah,
exactly. It's always a Jim. Please show to Jim. But the thing is, any of those people that do that, they're just the worst.
Yeah.
And I hate when people have opinions on things they haven't experienced. And part of the reasons I try to do everything is so that I can have opinions on everything. This is going to be great. I don't know that I even have a limit to the amount of tickets. So if you're remotely interested in this, we're going to do giveaways online. If you just want a pair, send us an email to theweeklyhookupshow@gmail.com or send us a message on our Facebook, our face page at facebook.com/theweeklyhookup.
If your name is Trey, send us a message. We'll talk about why you were misfortunately named.
Exactly. His whole name is like hard to spell. There's another big one, and I am checking the date on it to see if it's something I should mention today or save it for next week. And then maybe if I, gave it to you, you could, maybe call me about it.
Maybe.
No?
Maybe.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about yet? I am trying to pull the date to confirm right now, but that's coming up here soon too. And let's see. This is the worst part of the show. It's like, how does Mark vamp for a second? Oh, that is actually, okay, so no, that show that I want to, okay, no, just kidding. The show is, I'm lying because we're taping on a Wednesday, but the show airs Friday. So the show is actually, quote, tonight, Friday, July 12th at Bogarts. I'm just going to tell you, I have a pair of tickets I want to put in your hands. It's for Carly Rae Jepsen.
You remember her?
Yeah, she was the Call Me Maybe person.
Wonder if anyone called her.
But you know what's funny is I've actually been hearing people give, again, this is like one of those silly things where I've been hearing people give a lot of great reviews for her new record. And like they're like, it's actually good. And I don't know why that's too surprising because she is a pop artist and Call Me Maybe is a pop song. And whether you hate it or not, I feel like that's kind of a thing about pop music, right? Is that you're like, this is corny. I just met you, and I know you all right now hear that, or you even heard that line, and you're like, this is crazy. You're going to remember that forever. So I actually, and partially think that that's not such a thing. Anyway, the point is, I just got this email literally like 5 minutes before the show, and I want to give you a pair of those tickets too. So I will run a great contest, and we'll cut the contest off by 6 p.m., which is the end of the show on Facebook, since I've already pre-taped it, so you can interact with us for the hour. And sometime during our guest tonight, Zach George from local band Watterson, as well as a filmmaker himself, who'll be joining us in the second half of the show. I will come up, or James, whoever one of us, will come up with a code word, and the first person to give us that code word gets the ticket. So the show's totally sold out, which is great too. So this is the perk of being friends. So seriously, I don't want to say the name of the person at Bogart's because you know how that works. Like, if I've learned anything from the way the dudes in my life treat women that I know through Tinder, where they're like, oh, so I know Mark and it's cool. I'm not going to tell you. I don't want to ever name this person because I feel like you guys will ruin that for me too. But seriously, if you're listening, secret benefactor, I am so appreciative of everything that you and Live Nation and Bogart's has done for us. I loved helping out with the giveaways. I love getting to be a part of that. If I can be super serious, it's that validation I'm always looking for. And it sounds so, I'm like, I don't want to get overly emotional here, but like, it's that validation I am looking for, where this is somebody in a big place. It's like, hey, I respect what you're doing, and it seems to be working for you. And it's something that I feel, I just did a big rant before we got here, and I thought I would try to get most of the demons out of my brain beforehand. But it's the hardest part about being a content creator, right? Is that like, you and I sat in an office all day long making content for someone else.
You can call it content.
Well, yeah, it's definitely
we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
You gotta buy the rest of the vowels.
I'm just being silly. I'm not trying to be disparaging about them because, it's not like I hate my job or anything like that. But it's just that, obviously art, like creating art. And I'm not sitting here trying to be like, the Weekly Hookup is art, okay? But at the same time, this is a form of it, right? Like in the videos we make, the silly videos we make, and the short films and the feature films and all the stuff we write, it is a form of art. And it's hard to be... I don't know, it's like hard on all these ends where you're just like, oh, funding would be nice. But like, I don't even feel like I'm at that point where I'd be like, oh, it'd be nice if I could get money into this. Like, I am there, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, man, it'd be really nice if I could get somebody to hit the share button occasionally. And so I'm really going to start pushing hard on doing social posts. Follow us on @theweeklyhookup on Instagram. Shows a little love. If you're listening, just say something to us. Say something nice. Actually say something awful. I think that could be fun. I would love to have that. I have thick skin. I'm telling you, if I didn't have thick skin, I would have been dead a long time ago.
There's so much radiation in the world.
Well, right. And I've been working in Chernobyl for a while. It's like that constant struggle of like, okay, I just want to do all of these things and I want to figure this out. And so I guess what I'm kind of getting to in a very, very roundabout way is that you think this is stupid, but like seriously, someone like this person, who again shall not be named, who's been more than generous to us.
You can say Voldemort on radio now. It's okay. They've passed the law.
Did they pass that at the FCC?
Yes.
Voldemorts expressed on this show are not shared by our parent company. But having someone like this person who's been... she's a very senior ranking member of the company, very successful person, super cool person who maybe something I've struggled with because I've always just been like, I just want to be myself and honest and real all of the time and create this stuff. It's nice to see somebody who is truly successful being like, I like what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of silly. I'll tell this story too, and not that she'll listen to the show, but a friend of ours wrote me like the nicest letter ever, which is weird, right? It's 2019. Who even writes letters? I know who. Studio Cincy also, because they left me a card here last week's episode. It was adorable. Again, another reason I love being a part of the Studio Cincy fam. But this friend wrote me this really nice letter. It was like all these like nice things I needed to hear because, I like to beat myself up a little bit because I want to be the best. I want to be a Pokemon theme song. And I think that's how it goes if I can judge from living.
No, it's okay. I'm judging you from the inside.
Oh, man, Lindsay sings it every so often because she knows like 4 songs, and that's one of them.
That takes up 2 of them, probably. Probably knows the Japanese version as well.
She knows that version, and then she sings her own lyrics to whatever she's doing. Actually, she normally uses the Spider-Man 60s theme to stuff, or the Raiders of the Lost Ark thing. It's adorable. I'm not trying to hate. But anyway, this friend wrote a really nice letter to me, and it was just like a little birthday card thing, but it was a really lengthy note, and it was like it was like the cutest thing I've ever gotten, and it really, we don't get a lot of feedback either way, right? Like people, like occasionally you'll see something like when we posted something last week about being with Super Satan, like the closest we got was one of my mutual friends was like, 2 of my favorite local personalities on air. I was like, thank you for acknowledging our existence. And so it's just like, I don't know. I wanted to thank her too because it was serious. I've thanked her in person a bunch, but it's just, it's really appreciative. Even if you hate what we're, honestly, like that's a big thing. I'm like, I almost wish someone would just write in and be like, I think your show sucks, and this is what I'd like to hear instead. But I don't know. I'm in that weird struggle place where I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And I think it's because our movie's been taking forever to finish up, and it's the nature of working on projects. But I'm not trying to end this on a super sour note. But funny enough, coming up in a few minutes is our editor on our movie, who recently picked up the project for us to take over after like 4 people bailed and did the weird ghost thing, because that's apparently how you professionally handle yourselves now. It's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed.
And any more pausing, he might not leave the podcast alive
That's
tonight.
right. Exactly. No, but all kidding aside, he just got married as well, so we can pick his brain about a bunch of crazy things. And so on that, we should probably take a break here in a second. But I did want to give a quick shout out to a buddy of mine, Brian, who I used to work in radio with in a station up in Hamilton years and years ago. And Brian is a big prog rock fan, which is something I enjoy as well. I'm just going to read this. So Brian's show is called The Isle of Plenty. He covers over 40 years of progressive rock. He hosts the show Saturday nights, 9 to 11 p.m., which is Eastern, on Z98. It's a community radio station based out of Delhi Township, which is on the west side of Cincinnati. But you can check them out on z98fm.com. Now, Brian's off air, I think, for the next 2 weeks because of some traveling and family things, if I'm not mistaken. But just let me I just want to read his short bio. He wrote a nice bio. I'm going to read it all out because he's a great guy. He's always been really supportive of what we do. And so in response to my weird, sad rant where I'm like, I just don't know what I'm doing with my life and what do I do to get success as I view success. Since 2008, Brian has hosted the Isle of Plenty progressive rock radio show on the airwaves in Cincinnati. He hosted it, I'll interject, he hosted it at Class X. He's hosted it for other stations. The show covers the progressive rock genre and includes music from the classic era of prog rock, with classic deep cuts from bands like King Crimson, awesome. Yes, awesome. I won't say awesome, they're all great. Genesis, Pink Floyd, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. The show will also go into deep track territory with music from the Italian and German prog rock movement, which often doesn't really get a lot of talk in the U.S., as well as deep cuts from the progressive jazz fusion movement. Notable guests on the show have included people like John Anderson from Yes, Annie Haslam from Renaissance, and Adrian Bellew, I think I pronounced that right, from King Crimson. And by the way, he's a local. Adrian is. He's either from or currently living in Cincinnati, and he'll do shows in town every so often. He's aired over 425 shows since 2008. The show again is he wrote it in the bio for me. So the show is on vacation until August 10th, 2019. But go ahead and check this out. Maybe bookmark it. Brian, if you're out there, feel free to post on our page to let people know if they can download it like a podcast. That's been one of the best parts about our show lately, is that Radio Artifact has been posting our show as podcast, so you can get it there too. So
cool.
Was I sad enough tonight, James?
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. Well, on that, let's take a quick break for station identification, and maybe we can play a song. Do you have anything you want to hear tonight?
You're listening to Radio Artifact 91.7 FM HD2 or streaming live at radioartifact.com. Radio Artifact, your home for wild culture.
1, 2, 3, 4. It always happens.
right, as promised, maybe much to your chagrin, we are back. And in a much happier and more exciting note, we brought with us a guest, Zach George. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Zach is the creative driving force behind local band Watterson. Zach,
One of them?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how, no one else is here, so you're definitely going to accept
Those
that.
chumps
You're
didn't
taking
show
the credit.
up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially because I didn't invite them, you know.
Yeah.
Especially a negative shout out to Brian Meyer.
Sure.
But no, all kidding aside, we've, for those of you who've listened to the show before, we played a bunch of your EP I think it was last fall, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, and we played it like right when it came out.
Yeah, and I think that was August or September.
That sounds right. September. I was thinking September, October.
I don't pay attention to those things. I really should know.
Well, you are another person that was until recently in the midst of wedding planning, amongst other things.
Sure.
You're, as I mentioned before the break, you're a filmmaker and also the editor we've been complaining about on air all night.
Yeah, I suck.
Maybe an avid Green Day fan. This and more.
Oh, that's a bummer. No, not even a little bit.
No?
Strong dislike of Green Day.
Yeah, he just gave a big thumbs down emoji.
It's weird.
It's wild.
How did that appear in midair?
And I know you didn't see it on the camera.
So
go ahead. No, sorry, James.
So how was your wedding? We'll get off to real quick. How was the? Let's just talk only about the food of the wedding because your wife doesn't matter. Sorry.
I'm gonna give you a couple things. A real quick rundown. Pizza.
Okay, what kind?
All sorts. It was the venue provided it. I don't know that I necessarily would have chosen that had I the choice. But I would. I think their venue is like, oh, we do the food. Like, I probably would have gone somewhere. I probably would have done like an Adriatico's or something. Like, support some great local pizza.
Absolutely. Call it Adriatico's.
So pizza, and towards the end of the night, to surprise my now wife, I had the DJ play The Mighty Ducks.
Aww.
Well, it's her favorite movie,
yeah.
Number one, and it was at the 20th Century Theater, so they have the big screen.
Yeah.
So it comes down, and Mighty Ducks starts playing as she's out on the dance floor dancing.
Aww.
And she got real stoked on it.
I bet. And did the entire wedding party start quack, quack, quack?
So here's the thing. So we didn't have a big wedding party. We just had 2 people each. So my best man actually did this. He wrangled former members of my first band who were all there, and we all, at a certain point of the night, came up with T-shirts that had letters written on them to spell out quack, and she's real confused. She's looking around, and then I walk up and I play it smooth as like an excellent actor. And I'm, what's going on here? I don't know. And
the
so
U is for you, babe.
No. Here's the thing. He was wearing the U, but he had the Q over it in my size. He pulled it off, threw it at me. I put it on. My son came up behind her with a Mighty Ducks hat on. We did the quack, quack, clap thing. It was fantastic. Had a great time.
Sounds like a beautiful moment,
Yeah.
actually. I love that.
It was great.
Now, if she got to do it all over between you or Emilio Estevez, would you think it'd be a hard choice?
Oh, boy.
How are you going to say no to Gordon Bombay, dude?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If he's wearing those jeans from the Breakfast Club, I'd marry him.
Yeah. Who wouldn't?
Because why not?
Yeah.
He'll dance on the table. He'll smoke weed and get weird.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
Probably like real life Emilio.
That sounds like an IHOP.
I had a fun experience with him when he was shooting The Public, in that it was like one of my first auditions ever was with him, and it was the most terrifying experience. I totally blew it. And it was he was super nice, by the way. He did nothing wrong, nothing like that. He was incredibly friendly, and I just absolutely blew it. It was one of those weird things when you go into these auditions, is that it's always like, all right, here's like 3 words. Can you sell yourself in seriously, like like flap your meat with air for a second and make this work? And it was seriously such a short line, but I remember reading it going like, if I get this, I'm in the trailer. And then that line definitely was in the trailer.
Oh, wow.
And but no, it was just that awkward thing where I was clearly, it was
We're
like
out
seriously
here
like my
in
second
public.
Yeah,
That was the line.
Not in Publix,
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
confused.
Hello, I am Emilio Estevez. I'm like, that didn't go well. But no, he was super sweet, and I the movie I've heard is great. I haven't gotten.
I've heard a lot of good
chance to watch
things.
it yet, but and no, it was like that like weird experience where I was like, I still really regret it because it was a cool opportunity, and not that I like intentionally blew it or anything like that, but just I didn't know what I was doing. And this is one of those industries where nobody tells you what to do. They just
No.
want to watch you fail so they can kind of be a dick about it.
Yeah, they want to assume that you've like done your research, so you know like what you're
Yeah.
supposed to have done, and you like go out there and you do something you think is great, and it might be, but
Right.
but the people you're doing it for are like, that was fantastic, but it wasn't what we wanted, so you suck.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Like, whoa, boy.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of etiquette and stuff that they just don't tell you, right?
Sure.
Where it's pretty much just like, shut up, don't say anything, don't acknowledge anybody, just go in there, say the things, leave. You know, like little things like that I felt like as a new performer, you'd think that someone like my agent would have warned me in advance, be like, here's a few things that you should do. But I feel like everybody in the film industry is kind of that mindset of like, okay, so you've been doing this for 6 hours, right? So you're an absolute consummate professional now, right?
So you understand how this works,
Right,
right?
and you've never been in a room with another person that's controlling your fate. So,
Oh, man.
Well, but speaking of being in the entertainment industry, I know you got to start at an early age. So I would love if you talked to the audience about that a little bit.
I got to start at an early age. It wasn't, I don't know that I would say early age. I wasn't like, I wasn't like the guy from the starting line putting out a record when I was 16 years old.
But weren't you about that age when you got the opportunity?
No, well,
let's tell them what the opportunity
so here's
is,
the thing.
too.
So I started playing music when I was about 16 years old.
Okay.
That's when I like picked up a bass. Yeah, I was in a moderately successful local band. Like we played shows that were pretty well attended and got to play with some good bands and had some Warped Tour experience and fun stuff like that. I think we signed a record deal when we were 20, 21 maybe.
Okay, still pretty young.
Yeah. We never made the record because
Like most great stories.
never made the record because our guitarist got his girlfriend pregnant.
Perfect.
Sure, like you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad everybody has one of those stories where, like, we were really close to succeeding at our
Yeah.
dreams, and then somebody did something.
Yeah. Well, really, that happened, and we were on Warped Tour. Like, so that happened, and we knew, and we were like, okay, so we're gonna go do Warped Tour, really promote ourselves. Like, we had 3 dates that we were set on. It was St. Louis, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. And then in Pittsburgh, the guy that was running our tent, who was actually one of the guy from Fishbone.
Oh, which guy? Do you know? That's okay.
I know that his tent was called Dr. Mad Vibes.
Cool.
That was his tent. And I think they blew up afterwards, but we were on the tent with Meg and Dia.
Oh, yeah.
That I think they had like a minute where they were like big pop musicians.
Right, I remember. I know the name. That's about the extent of it.
Sure. So it was really cool. But so he told us like, hey, we don't have room for you for the next couple days. Meet up with us in a week in upstate New York. It was like Albany or something. Sure. And he was like, and just ride out the tour as long as you can. So we were planning to do that, and then our drummer had like an unexpected like heart condition, which like he's fine. It was just like an irregular beat, but he couldn't play, and it took us off the road, and it took us off that path where like even losing the guitar player to fatherhood, which is like a really weird thing to say and a really weird idea.
Yeah.
But even
He became your father.
That's the concept album I'm hoping you're working on.
Yes. But so we even with that, like what really, put a stop to it was more the health issue and losing that opportunity at Warped Tour, because that would have really got us out there and got us into a position where more people would have known us and like ramped us up a little bit for actually making that record when we got back.
So what did you do with the music after that? Like, did anything come of it?
Oh, no, nothing at all.
Are you? I'm guessing you're on good terms with these people, since these are the same people that you referenced in the wedding,
Some of my
right?
best friends, for sure.
Cool.
So the drummer I went on to start a pop punk band with called Tall Tales a couple years later with Brian Meyer.
Brian, I remember when he was. I remember him showing me some of that.
So
stuff
we did
for sure.
that for a little bit. He plays in. Here's a nice little plug. He plays in 90s cover band Buzzbin now.
Oh, okay, with Jamie and a few of those other
Yes.
people. I think Andy McEwen's in that too.
And Jamie was actually the it was his label that signed us.
Okay,
It was
cool.
Nice Guy Records.
Oh, awesome.
He was a big fan, and
Jamie's a great dude. I had
of the
nothing but
best.
great experiences with them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my son, who is weirdly 9 months younger than our guitarist's daughter, don't read into that at all.
Yeah. We can't read. This is audio.
My son is really good friends with his daughter still. We're still really good friends. We're all still like really close.
Yeah.
Nothing happened with the music. unfortunately.
Do you ever think about revisiting any of it?
We have. We split in 2007, played our air quotes last show, and it was a Black Tie Bombers CD release show, if anybody remembers the Black Tie Bombers.
I do.
Former, or Dopamine's former band. So that was the last show we played. Our drummer moved to Pennsylvania to play music with another band that we were friends with. He stayed there for a year or two, came back, and then we did a couple of reunion shows in 2009, wrote some new songs, and then kind of just bailed on it. So I don't know. It's hard to have that drive when you get a little bit older and have like real world responsibilities that aren't like, that are like, oh, I have to pay for my home. Unlike when I was a teenager and like this was something I could really pursue.
Sure, but do you feel like, obviously there's no like bad blood between the members, but do you feel like, and I'm sort of asking this because I know this is how I've felt about some revisiting material from that era, as James and I have been working on music recently, where there's like a little too much emotion attached to the downfall of it. Like, do you find any of that to be the thing where that's like, you're like, maybe I'm moving past this?
Well, so one thing that really struck me about that was like, prior to that band breaking up, I didn't realize like what a really important part of my life it was. It really was like a relationship ending. Like it really was like you just got dumped by like 3 of your best friends, basically, because like that band was like our little family, and that was like our life, and that was like what we're gonna do.
It's like your first kid almost. In a weird way.
Absolutely. It's your first kid or your first love or whatever. Like it's super important, and like to have that go away just as it looks like it's about to go somewhere is like,
Oh, sure.
It's a real gut punch.
I'm still holding grudges like 13 years later. Dude.
Sure.
Sure. I think about that a lot myself. And it's funny because like in my experience, I had you mentioned the breakup thing. I'm like, what a great experience. And I got cornered kind of the same way you would in a breakup, where it was like, oh, this isn't a practice. This is now a form of intervention.
Oh, that's a bummer.
It was the worst too, especially because I paid for the practice space. I'm like, get out of here.
Please leave my
yeah. I was like,
facility.
This is mine now. Get your stuff and get out of here. And it's kind of sad because like, yeah, it's like that weird thing where you're like, oh, we've created this thing together, and now we're, it's gone. And I think about that where I didn't even end up. We recorded a whole EP, and it's like done, and I've never released all that. I put one of the songs out, and I think about it every so often because the record, like I gotta give a quick shout out to Rob Nadler, in like 2007 was making records that sound better than anybody's putting out now, and it cracks me up. I'm like, why aren't more people recording with him here? Go see Rob Nadler, everybody.
See, this is a guy I've never heard of. I'm a big Eric Tuffenzam guy.
Oh, Eric's a great guy too, and I love Eric's work. Rob will, and I'm not trying to make this like a big thing. Rob will seriously blow everybody away. I guess depending on what you want, right?
Sure.
Like I for my productions in general, I want everything to have that obvious polish, right? Like I would rather everything look
glossy, real
glossy.
glossy.
like very professional, because I think it's important, especially as a creator of stuff, that like what you do is indicative of how you see your work too.
Sure.
And like, I put a stupid little 15-second video of me and the dog drinking Monster Energy. Well, he wasn't drinking it because I'm not a monster. But I was like, this is like this stupid little thing, but I'll like label it as such. But for the most part, I would never want to share that kind of thing. And I talk all the time about how there have been little skits and stuff where I'm just like, this is not up to snuff. But something I love so much about working with Rob is that he made me sound like I was already famous, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's just a good producer. And again, he understood the type of material I was writing, which I think helped a bunch.
And I think that can really help, like, how you feel when you go into a studio and you, like, I was never
vibe with the person.
I was never a very confident singer.
Okay.
I was a very bad singer when I started playing music. I originally joined my first band as like, oh, I can sing, and then we quickly realized that like, oh no, I can't really. I'm kind of terrible. And one of my really good friends who had like an excellent natural voice, being in a band with him for like 6 or 7 years, like I learned how to sing from being with him.
Sure.
But I was still never really like super confident in it. So like going into the studio with like a really good producer, and like you go in the booth and like they make you sound like oh I can kind of do this. This is really cool.
And it's like a combination of both, like obviously things like gear, but
Sure.
it's also I think something that not enough bands think about because I think, especially when you're starting off, it's obviously usually a financial thing first and foremost. You're like, can I even afford to put out a record, right?
Sure.
In a
And it
world
still
where,
kind of is now.
Oh, for sure. I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? I think about it every so often. I'm like, whoa, what would this cost to go through this song? You know, but I think there's also, people don't really think about the producer, or at least I don't think enough people think about or recognize the producer's role as almost like an extra member of the band on the song.
Absolutely. And so in 2013 or 14, it was January 2014, I went in, that's the first time I recorded with Eric, and it was with my buddy Ryan Rockwell and our friend Kamal, and the three of us had written these songs together. And when we went into the studio, it was Ryan on guitar, myself on guitar, Kamal playing drums, and then Ryan and I both played a number of other instruments to fill out the rest. And we basically wrote these songs in the studio, even though we'd already had like the structures and stuff, but like we layered all this stuff in, and Eric was like a huge part of that. And like to the point where we decided like, oh, if we ever made any money from this, Eric gets a quarter of it. And in the credits, Eric is credited as like, you know, a part of it.
Yeah, which is
because
great.
he contributes so much.
I'm sure that helped with some of your success. Did you have I didn't mean to
You
cut
looked like
off
you
if
had
I did.
something.
I
No,
saw
it's okay.
that. I saw the Morlock perk at some point.
It's all good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go on.
Wow.
Aw. Did I kill it, or
I'm gonna spend like the next 12 minutes trying to get it out of you.
I know,
So
that's
good.
the real
Wanna
thing.
know.
Tell us,
It was a thought in
James.
the moment. Go on.
I said Ryan Rockwell and you perked up, and I was like, everybody knows Ryan Rockwell, so I
I
thought
don't
it was
know
something
Ryan,
like that.
actually.
Mixtapes, Ryan, right?
Absolutely, yes.
That's-
And this was at the end of mixtapes, right as they were like kind of coming apart.
Can somebody fill me out on that? I actually don't know who he is.
You remember the band, the Black Tie Bombers?
Oh, okay.
That's Ryan Rockwell.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okubo Station,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the female
that's
Mara
Mara
of that,
Weaver, yeah.
she was in mixtapes as well.
She's
hilarious.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's great, and that's a great band too.
Yeah.
I always feel like I butcher the pronunciation of it.
Oh, I
don't
know
try.
I just did, but
I don't try. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Our buddy Jason Levy, who, by the way, gotta give a quick shout out to Jason. Jason not only did a bunch of solids. He just came to town to visit. He lives in Kansas. He's an old radio guy from here in town. He was actually an E-Media grad too from UC back in the day, before my time, briefly. Or maybe he graduated right now. I don't remember. But anyway, he had worked in radio and stuff like that before. But Jason this weekend, and I can't believe I haven't told you this yet, but he gave me a copy of this movie I've been wanting to watch for a while that I found randomly on the internet. It was Saul Bass, like famous graphic designer,
Sure,
directed
the
one
document-
movie.
Oh.
Yeah, it's called Phase 4, and it's kind of like
that's cool.
if you could take like the kind of Kubrick vibe of 2001 and mix it with like kind of like a cool, like a smart version of a 1950s like sci-fi like ant invasion type movie. It's at times like a little
So
intentionally
maybe it's
obtuse,
a
but
B
like,
plus movie.
yeah, that's probably how I describe it. I honestly watched it the other night when I liked it. It was pretty short. It's only like 80 minutes long, and it is beautiful constantly. They did practical work with ants in that movie that I still don't know that we could do today. Seriously. Like, there had to be an ant herder. I won't go too much into that, but Jason gave me a copy of that, and he also gave me a bunch of like classic Van Halen and David Lee Roth era albums. So I'm
Nice.
so happy about that. So what a wonderful life it is. But Jason also he was the one that got us hip to their band.
Oh, sure.
Because he was writing reviews
Sure.
for a few pages or places out in Kansas. So
I can't comment on local music because it only gets nasty.
I can only comment on local music. Ask my wife. That's like 85% of the music I listen to is local bands.
That's good
It's
though.
Weird.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Why is that weird?
Yeah, it just is. Like, I'm just that guy. I'm like that level of hipster, and I wouldn't have used that word to describe myself before like the past year or so, but like I've just embraced it. Like I dislike so much stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
ugh.
There's nothing wrong with that. People get like a little weird about that, where you're like, oh, you have opinions and feelings, and yeah, isn't that what the whole point of life is? Aren't you just experiencing things to be like thumbs up, thumbs down? I mean, that's kind of life, right? Like
Yeah,
you
sure.
try, you're like, oh, I don't really like the way this chicken tastes. I'm gonna try something else.
I'm a-
you know?
I'm talking about Canes.
Yeah.
Well, Cane's is fine.
Canes is
Whoa!
trash.
It's a
Get
little
the hell-
vinegary.
Get the hell out of here.
I prefer Tendertown,
You
but-
unflavored chicken sauce dipping, shirt wearing, knee having.
Hang on.
Boy George.
Hang on. I don't like the sauce.
So then what?
So
wait a second. What is it that you like about the experience? I gotta ask.
I mean, it's a
that.
good piece of chicken.
No.
It's a well
I-
fried.
No.
It's
I
a
will-
well done
okay.
piece of chicken.
I agree that it is well
It's-
fried.
it's
I just
difficult.
think it is the epitome of white people don't season their food to me. It tastes
Oh, you're right about that. So, but the thing for me is like, if you go to a fast food restaurant and you want to get, so I don't eat burgers. I don't eat. There's a lot of meat that I don't eat. Like most meat I don't eat, which
It
is
rhymes.
Yeah, and as we talked about at the beginning of the show,
about
if
You
it
big
rhymes-
OJ fan?
Yeah.
But like my thought is like going to a fast food restaurant, like it's difficult for me to find stuff that's good, and a lot of like fast food restaurant, chain restaurant chicken fingers
awful.
or strips, it's trash, and it's all this really heavily crusted stuff, and this just feels like a legit, like, oh, this is just a piece of fried chicken that is tasty.
This is like the first decent argument I've ever gotten on this. Because by the way, on a textural level and that kind of stuff, I'll actually agree with that.
I think they've
Still
got
have to
good
pass
crinkle
too thin.
fries.
What's that?
Crinkle fries are an abomination. They are the worst types of fries.
They're not the
Really?
worst.
Hands
Steak
down.
fries are the worst.
Oh, see, I love steak
No.
fries.
The
Oh,
most
steak fries are
bland,
great.
potato-y
No.
thing. You have to
What?
season it so much to get anything out of
You
it.
season any food that you make. That's why
Why are you eating the King's chicken?
No.
I'm just kidding.
But you don't have to, is the point. And
If you want to eat, you might as well be eating tofu
My-
at that
my-
I just
point.
want to say
beef
the
is-
best fast food fries are curly fries. Arby's curly fries.
Okay.
And now he's
No
already
argument.
back into our good graces.
And anyone who wants to say rallies can
Oh, Rallies is
eat
terrible.
my fist.
Yeah. No,
So-
seriously.
Because
As long
it's
as it's deep
trash.
fried. Are you go? You first.
I was just going to say this. I'm going to give some free advertisement to our boy Jonathan Fessel of F&N Good Chicken Tenders that you need to try
Yeah,
out.
if you're
I don't need to
supporting
try it.
locals-
I've had it.
Oh.
My point is, I've had it. The chicken, the breading fell off a little too easily,
Ooh,
and they
that's
don't have fries. I need fries.
Yeah, and by the way, I give
They had
John,
chips.
I give
I need
Fessel
fries.
a hard time about that all the time.
It's good
I'm like,
chicken.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the West Side.
Okay, I mean that's really the only reason I don't
And
go.
the
I
issue
do-
is,
yeah.
we're here in Eastgate. Let's drive one exit over to Beachmont and get Tendertown.
No, I've never
'Cause
had
it's
Tendertown.
delightful.
Tendertown's good, and then the other one.
But they have steak fries.
It always cracks me. I love steak fries too, so you're not going to ruin it
don't.
for there, and that's okay. You know,
If they're
that's-
seasoned right, they're delightful.
Right.
But,
I was thinking along those lines. Speaking of which, in the stores, go for the Red Robin steak fries. That's the
Oh,
move.
yeah.
because they have that
They
seasoning.
put seasoning, yeah, I
And it's
agree.
good.
By the
And
way,
it's unlimited.
if you properly season food, generally speaking, it tends to work out, right?
I never went to Tendertown because I went to a Holmes high school, and my senior year I was in band because that was the easiest elective to take percussion because I didn't know how to read music.
Sure.
But our band teacher got arrested for sexting with a 14-year-old, and he was always talking about going to Tendertown. And then after I saw that, I didn't know what a
He was
Tendertown
talking about her.
Yeah.
You said it, not me.
I did. I
Well,
said
thanks for
it.
coming on the show today, Mr. Epstein.
No, hey, I'm just saying
No, we're
he was a creep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to mention also, we have one near our office, is Guthrie's.
I've not been to Guthrie's.
I thought you maybe
I've
had
heard
that once when
Slim
they catered.
Pickens is similar.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
It's right off the Fields Erdel exit.
This show has been so weird today. We started with gas station reviews,
And
then
then-
I got sad about how it's hard to be a creator and make money.
I have a friend who, incidentally, has been like filling in on drums for Anti-Flag recently, and
cool.
he
I'm pro flag, so.
Yeah,
was on-
I like America.
I love Flag.
Actually, no, that's a lie. I'll
that's a
agree
bummer.
with you.
I was actually born on Flag Day, so it's contractual application on my behalf.
legally you're required.
Right.
But he was on a podcast that is purely dedicated to the gas station Sheets.
Oh, dude.
They only review Sheets.
Dude, Sheets,
And
that
they
was-
have different guests on. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. I'd
I've
love
only
to
listened to that one episode, but it's incredible.
I would love to. I'm going to have to hit them up, but I would
I believe
love
it's
to be a
called
guest.
Freaks in the Sheets.
Oh
Perfect.
my
We've
god!
been talking about gas station stuff so much on the show for the last few years, and I've been, as an East Coast kid, I've been a longtime Sheets fan. And then also, I don't know if you're hip to this, but you should find out about QuikTrip.
Cutie.
But if you just listen to this episode in full when it airs,
We'll see.
You
You
never
just
know.
might. You never know.
We'll see.
Bye, Constant.
I don't listen to my own thing. Well, we've only got a couple minutes left. Like seriously, like about to. Anything fun? I mean, I know I talked to before the show about how you're helping us with Subject 6 Alpha 2, which
Sure.
I'm eternally grateful
Coming
for.
soon.
Yes.
I'm actually off work tomorrow and Friday, and I am going to cut that sequence.
That's
and then
gonna
I'm
be
going to
so
send
good.
you a file.
You're gonna pound it?
Woo!
that
By the
beat.
way, and like all kidding aside, like the edit, it's just. The last time you and I hung out on it, I felt like we made all
We
these
did a lot of
real-
progress. We
and
did some
we
good
made all
stuff.
these important choices that I think
Subtle choices.
Yeah, and it's so
That make a
subtle,
difference.
and we trimmed like maybe 20 seconds out of the movie, but it is
Yeah.
hilarious
Solid.
how few things were
Yeah.
like where, and you had done some work prior to me showing
Hey,
up
man,
too, where
it's all about that pacing.
yeah. Do you have any film stuff coming up on the horizon that we
film
want to
stuff,
plug?
I do not. I am wrapping. This is such a bummer because I could have been on here 2 years ago and said the same thing. I'm working on a short film called That Golden Bastard that should be finished soon.
Oh, I may have watched that.
I
we say
love
that
it
word?
and I kind of hate it.
What, bastard?
Yeah.
Or yellow? Yellow's not okay.
Gold.
Okay.
Gold.
These colors are not that are expressed on the
These
show are
colors
not
don't run.
shared by the parent companies.
But I've got that. Watterson is playing with Iron Sheik at Northside Yacht Club August 23rd. It's a Friday. Come out. It won't suck.
Cool. Yeah, I feel bad because I've missed the last 2 shows you all have done.
Yeah.
And I kept threatening Dustin from the Ataris that I was going to come chest bump.
sure.
And he kept agreeing to it too. And I was like,
They were great.
You should
They were
never
great,
have said
and
yes
Chris
to
was
me.
like the coolest dude. My wife actually took a picture, a Polaroid with him at a concert literally 20 years ago, and we recreated it at our show.
Oh, that's adorable.
And it's on our fridge, the 2 of them together. It's
You
fantastic.
should make like one of those shirts like when Macaulay Culkin and Ryan Gosling were taking photos
yeah.
of each other.
Yeah,
I
there
know
you
a few
go.
screen printers.
I
Let me
like it.
know.
That way, there's no room on the fridge for the dumb kid paintings.
That's right. Well, in the meantime, since we got just a few seconds here, Zach, because you know what? After the show, tell me what. I know we struggled to pick a song in the first half. We're going to play a Watterson song.
Sounds
That
good.
makes perfect sense. So we can pick that off air. But send everybody to where they want to see your stuff.
We're on Spotify. Watterson, 2 T's. Facebook, Watterson.
That's WATTERSON.
Let me see. And fantastically, we have new shirts that have our name on them, unlike the one that I'm currently wearing.
Are they
shameless?
Are they available
promoter.
yet?
They are available at any shows. Watterson Music on Instagram. We got
Okay.
a bunch of pins. We ripped off the Seinfeld logo because why not?
Yeah.
I've ripped off a lot of logos in my life.
You
It's
know.
fine.
I've ripped off a lot of logos.
We had a deal.
We're recently a 3-piece, writing some new songs. It's a different vibe. It's very cool. I'm real stoked on where we're going. You know?
Cool.
I'm excited to hear more, but we're happy. You know, obviously, as a local independent station, we would love to play more of it. So, well, we're working on syndication right now. That's
Sure,
actually the big
sure.
secret.
Get it.
But yeah, and so far, I actually made more headway in like a day than I thought I would, to be totally honest with you. But
Sure.
not that anyone listening gives a crap. I almost said the S word. Anyway, on that. Well, Zach, thanks for joining us on the show
Yes,
this week.
thank
I really
you.
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having
That
me.
blew
Of
by
course.
instantly. I love that. And I think the interview was really great. I'm excited to cut that up. Well, we've got video too, which I refuse to acknowledge the whole time. Yeah. Don't look at it. It's looking at us.
It is looking at us.
As always, thank you so much for listening. Remember, one more time, we never came up with a code word. Do you have, if you could just pick a random code word for somebody to win a pair of passes to see Carly Rae Jepsen tonight, which is sold out at Bogart's, what would you make that code word? Why don't we just make the code word Watterson?
You know what?
Or name a song instead, because Watterson will be in the post.
Oh,
Probably.
boy. That's tough now. I got to think
Just
of a
pick
song.
one of your songs.
We'll say Dark Matter.
All right, so the first person to post Dark Matter on the Facebook post, that'll be the trick, and you'll had to have listened to the entire show to get it.
Because it's the very end.
Yeah, exactly. It's a genius move, right?
Exactly.
Because I force people to listen the whole time. It's just like commercials. Right?
It'll be the heaviest comment.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So whoever gets it, it'll be great. We want to send you
Call
so
me, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
You're married.
Oh boy.
But you can also send us an email at theweeklyhookupshow@gmail.com. I also want to give away those tickets to the Trey Anastasio documentary, which I've heard a lot of great things about. I'm really excited. I will be there in attendance, so you can actually threaten to chest bump me like I've been doing to Dustin from the Ataris.
Someone needs to.
Yeah, I'm a good chest bump, dude. It's even with the broken ankle and the handicap.
I'll do a bump off a chest. Whatever we
Exactly.
got to do.
That's the only way to do it, right? Bathroom keys. Anyway, on that, everybody, thank you so much for listening. As always, we really appreciate the love and support. If you're not loving and supporting us, let us know why not. We'd love to, at least engage with you about it.
Yeah.
I'm not changing.
And be supported.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, support would be huge. I'm just I need an emotional bra in my life. So lift and separate me, everybody. On that, James, thank you as well for being on the show as always.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we will see you all next Friday with our guest Blake Hammond, local comedian, and more. I think we'll actually... Oh, this weekend's Forecastle and Incarceration, so we'll have all of our coverage for those two festivals, too. I totally forgot to mention it.
We couldn't get Daryl, so we had to settle for the next best one.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. Okay, everybody. We will see you next week. Thanks.